All right, let's talk about the corporate pizza party. We've all been there. For years, it's been the default way to celebrate to build morale. But what if that whole one-size-fits-all approach isn't just a little tired? What if it's actually broken? Today, we're going to dig into a really simple experiment that completely flips the script on how teams can actually connect. You know this feeling, right? The email lands in your inbox announcing a fun team event, but it just feels like another task on your to-do list. This phrase right here, mandatory fun, it just perfectly captures the problem. It's usually well-intentioned, sure, but it's trying to force something that has to happen naturally. And it almost always falls into the same old routine. The same few restaurants, the same conversations about work, or maybe the weather. Look, for some people, that's totally fine. But for a lot of us, we're just going through the motions. It's a routine that rarely builds any real, lasting connection. So facing this exact kind of stale routine, the organization in our story decided, you know what, let's challenge this. But they didn't commission some huge, expensive study or try to overhaul their entire culture overnight. Nope. Instead, they just ran a simple, kind of elegant experiment. Instead of doing the usual, they just decided to try something different. It was a really small change, a simple pivot, but it was designed to create a huge ripple effect on how their teams actually got along. And this was the entire directive. They pushed the budget and the power down to the managers. But just read those words again. The message here is so much deeper than just money. It's a massive statement of trust. It's about giving people real autonomy. Okay, so let's break down how this actually worked. It was beautifully simple. First, the money went straight to the people on the ground, the team leads. Second, and this is the real game changer, there were no hoops to jump through. No paperwork, no proposals, no waiting for some VP to sign off. All that bureaucracy was just gone. And third, the foundation for the whole thing, complete and total trust in their leader's judgment. So the experiment is officially launched. The budget's out there and the team leads are empowered. So what happened next? Did everybody just end up going for pizza anyway? Well, let's take a look at what actually happened when they handed over control. The outcome wasn't just good, it was genuinely surprising. As soon as teams were given this freedom, the variety and creativity that bubbled up went way beyond what anyone had expected. And this just shows you the incredible diversity. One team full of outdoorsy folks organized a morning hike. Another group decided they wanted to get their hands dirty and booked a pottery class. And get this, a third team pulled 2 months of their budget to rent a space for a jam session. People who'd worked together for 2 years were suddenly discovering shared musical talents. Another lead started a simple monthly book club just because that's what his team asked for. But you know, this was about so much more than just a list of fun activities. All these results pointed to a really fundamental lesson about people, about connection, and about what it truly means to recharge. And right here, this was the big aha moment. Relaxation and bonding, they're not one size fits all. It's just that simple. For some of us, it's about getting outside and moving. For others, it's about creativity. Some people connect best over a quiet coffee, and some just want to hang out together with absolutely no agenda. So this really shows us two completely different models. On one hand, you've got prescribed fun. It's top-down, and the goal is really just to make employees feel entertained. But with team autonomy, something much deeper happens. Leaders have to be more thoughtful because they actually have to know their people. And in return, their teams don't just feel entertained, they feel seen. They feel like individuals whose preferences actually matter. Now, here's the part that you might not expect. You'd think giving people a budget with no strings attached could lead to problems, right? But the opposite happened. Accountability actually went up. So here's the key. When you truly trust people with freedom and resources, they take that ownership seriously. They make it count. This whole experiment really makes you zoom out. It forces us to look beyond just team activities and start asking a much bigger question. What is company culture, really? And where does it actually come from? And let's be super clear here. The point of all this is not that team lunches or pizza parties are bad. For some teams, that is the absolute perfect way to connect. The real point is about empowering them to decide for themselves what's perfect. And this, right here, gets to the very heart of it. True culture isn't about the ping pong tables or the mission statements on a wall. It isn't built in a boardroom. It's built in all those small moments when people feel like their leaders genuinely know them, understand them, and trust them. Okay, so we've walked through the problem, the experiment, and the really profound lesson here. So let's make this practical. If you're a manager or a leader listening to this, what can you actually do tomorrow? Well, it boils down to two incredibly simple steps. First, just ask. Ask your team what they actually need to feel connected and recharged. You might be really surprised by the answers you get. And second, if you have team leads that report to you, trust them. Empower them to make the call for their own teams. So, we'll leave you with this one question to think about. In your entire career, what's the most memorable team activity you've ever been a part of that wasn't a standard lunch or dinner? The answer that just popped into your head, well, that probably reveals a whole lot about what truly brings people together.